Welcome in. Happy Monday. That's Matt. I'm Bri. Matt, I'm going to just start right into it. Monday Night Football is tonight. Bengals, Jaguars. Jaguars have won 7 of their last 8. The Bengals are on a 3-game losing streak, and the Jags are 10-point favorites. Who are you taking tonight? And give me your over-under prediction. It's set at 40 points.
Well, remember to make sure that you do all your wagering with Bet Online. And I'm going to look, it's going to be hard for me to pick Cincinnati, Joe Burrowless. Jacksonville, Duval's going to be rocking tonight. We've got some Dungeon family on Jacksonville's roster. Chad Muma's graced us with his presence on the show in the past and did a great job when he was on. And the linebacker for the Jacksonville Jaguars is proud Dungeon family and a guy here from Legend High School. And his jersey is actually out here, for everybody to see. Just sent me one of his jerseys, so that was pretty cool. But I think Jacksonville can smell the blood in the water. I mean, they can taste it. They know that, the Kansas City's vulnerable and that the number one seed in the AFC is essentially up for grabs. And Cincinnati's trying to figure it out with a backup quarterback who won a lot of games in college. Browning was a hell of a player at Washington when he was there, but, since then went undrafted and has become a good backup. Can he take Cincinnati where they need to go? That's probably a high task. So Cincinnati's fighting for their lives, but they got to know that the nails are pretty much halfway in that coffin. And then Jacksonville, again, blood in the water, man. Like you could be the number one seed in the AFC and host playoff games if you do this correctly. But it's a big time platform for them to be on this evening for Monday Night Football. So I'll take Jacksonville. How many points are they getting?
10.
Oh, that's a lot in the NFL. I mean, that's a lot of points. So I probably take the points, but I think Jacksonville wins.
They are obviously led by the ground attack. Joe Mixon, their lead veteran running back. In 11 games, he's carried for 161 times for 621 yards. That's 3.9 on the average, 4 touchdowns. He's had explosive plays all year, 33 receptions, 232 yards, and 7 on the average with 1 touchdown. I would take the over on whatever his rushing yards are set at because that's how much I believe on him. That's why I drafted him in my fantasy football team. But I wanted to mention 0 to 60 is sponsored by Bet Online. The last of our major pro sports leagues is off and rolling. College basketball is on its way as well. Bet Online remains your top spot for all your live betting action and contest needs. NFL, college football, UFC, NHL, they're all in full swing, and Bet Online is your number one source for wagering news, odds, trends, and predictions. All the hoops betting action, along with every sport, is available at your fingertips with both the desktop and the mobile access at any time. Head on over to BetOnline today and remember to use our promo code BLEAV, BLEAV, for your 50% off welcome bonus on your first deposit because BetOnline is where the game starts. I'm going to roll right into NFL news, and obviously I want to touch on the Broncos. Houston Texans break the 5-game win streak for the Denver Broncos with a 22-17 result. The game was close, but Denver was in a constant chase. They really didn't have a chance here. They had plenty of chances to beat the Texans, but they unfortunately beat themselves with some boneheaded moves. What I wanted to talk about, though, was the Chiefs losing to the Packers because the Broncos would have been 1 game behind, and now they sit 6-6. I don't think one player or one play is to blame for this conundrum that the Denver Broncos find themselves in. But remember, at the beginning of this season, we didn't think the Broncos had a chance, and they're 500. So they basically have to win out now for a chance at the playoffs. A 10-7 record should get it done, but they've got the Lions, Patriots, the Chargers twice, which, I mean, you saw the result on Sunday, a 6-0 win over the Patriots, and the Raiders to close it out. Matt, what are the chances here for the Broncos moving forward?
Well, you'd like to think they can win 5 of 6 if they've won 5 in a row. I didn't mind what I saw on Sunday. I mean, they missed some opportunities, yes, but they played hard. They fought till the end. They had a chance to win the game at the end of the game. The 3rd interception by Russell Wilson may look bad on stat sheets, but if you watch the game, he's got to throw the ball, and who cares if they pick it? It's just the ebb and flow of the game. Obviously, you prefer a touchdown, but again, making an assumption off Russell's play with 1 touchdown, 3 picks, that looks bad, but it wasn't as bad as you'd think. Look, they're busting their ass right now, and I like what I'm seeing. So The Chargers will charger. I think the Broncos are a better football team than the Chargers. They're definitely a better team than the Patriots. Now, the Patriots come here on Christmas Eve. It's going to be a cold game. Their defense is outstanding, but their offense is anemic. So that's a game you should win. So I think they can beat the Chargers twice, beat the Raiders, beat the Patriots. That's 4 of your 6 Vicks. And then whatever happens in the other 2 games happens. But when you're looking at, the Broncos moving forward here, I really like what I'm seeing defensively. I like what I'm seeing offensively. And if they can sneak in as the 7th seed, maybe on a 10-7 record, I don't know if you want to see this defense as the 7th seed if you're the 2. And that 2, I mean, this is the way football works, but football karma is real, and that 2 seed could easily be Miami. And Miami put 70 on Denver earlier in the year. Denver could be going back to Miami to play the Dolphins, a much different football team motivated by the fact that they were embarrassed. So that is a scary team in the playoffs if they do find a way to sneak in. And nobody in Miami, nobody in Dade County wants to see the Broncos again coming to Miami as them as the 2 seed with Denver being the 7, because I think Baltimore is going to end up being the 1. They'll have the bye. Miami will be the 2. I think Kansas City will be the 3, and the tiebreaker will give Jacksonville the 4 seed, and they'll all be somewhere around 12-4, 13, or 12-5, 13-4. So, that's just the way that the AFC is going to shake out. It's a pretty competitive league this year.
I want to challenge something that you said, that you were okay with what you saw on Sunday from the Broncos, because 3 interceptions from Russ. Yes, I know one of those was tipped, but the other idea there was the late throws. If you're missing a read, missing a progression, or if you're catching a wide receiver on an underthrow because they've moved past where they're supposed to be on that play, to me, that's a little bit concerning with what we saw from the Broncos, because it is a momentum swing there for the Broncos offense. The defense got the job done. PJ Locke, once again, was lights out. Singleton was able to redeem himself after an early penalty against CJ Stroud by being able to sack the quarterback on a play that wasn't penalized. So I think that as the defense continues to do what they need to do, the offense is still kind of missing the mark. It should have been a higher scoring game. I don't think Houston's defense really had an answer for what the Broncos were intending to do, but there is some frustration, at least out of my side of things, with what they're doing offensively and whether or not it could even hold out if they did make a playoff berth.
Well, look, Russell Wilson is playing about as good as you can ask this guy to play. Yes, he had 3 picks on Sunday, but until then, I mean, his touchdown interception numbers inside the red zone specifically were through the roof. So I think at some point the guy's got to get his flowers. Sean Payton is a wizard. I think that the ability to game plan people up is one thing, and he definitely has it. The offensive line has been playing a lot better, although they had a rough game on Sunday. The National Football League is fickle. They go on a 5-game win streak, and now they're right back, to can we even get into the playoff land? So 6-6 after 12. Most Bronco fans would take that, considering they were 1-5 at one point. So I think that there's vast improvement each and every week. And even though they've taken an L here, and the tape may look a little ugly and the stats do, they can learn a lot from this loss. And look, Houston is a good football team. They're fighting with Indianapolis right now for that 7 seed. They're a good team that exploited some of the weaknesses Denver had in the secondary, with Collins going for 180 yards receiving or whatever. But at the same time, at least it was exposed during the regular season. So now you can go try and fix it. The last time they were exposed, they fixed it and they went on a 5-game winning streak. So I think that this is a good thing. It's a way to break, a winning streak in half. Now they have an opportunity to go on another 4 or 5-game winning streak and actually, beat a Detroit team on Sunday Night Football that's, leading their division. I think that could be a jewel in the crown of Sean Payton if they can figure out a way to get that done. But a 10-7 Broncos team here moving forward, I don't think that's unfeasible. I think that it's very feasible, and I think that this team is going to be in the playoffs as the 7 seed. And again, you don't want to see them if you're the 2. So like, are you losing or are you learning? You know, I really doubt that the professionals in that room are going to jump off a cliff. You know, it's if they didn't panic at 1-5, they're damn sure not going to panic at 6-6 after a really, really hard fought game in Houston that they arguably should have won and could have until the last snap of the football game. So I liked what they did yesterday from a game plan perspective. They were kind of forced into throwing the ball as many times as they did because they were behind. But again, it's not like it didn't work. There are some throws that are late and some throws that are missed, yes, but there's also an absolute dime to Cortland Sutton in the corner where no one else could put the ball and no one else could catch it. So for every good, there's a bad. But you know, Russell has really impressed the shit out of me, and I've been harder on him than maybe anybody. And you know, at some point, the guy. You know, he's running hard. Yesterday, I saw him absolutely sell out to try and get a fourth down, you know, going head first for the first down marker. That's the kind of leadership shit I'm talking about. That's the kind of stuff that gets your teammates going, should get everybody in the media going, but still haters are going to hate. But look, I hated on Russell Wilson for a long time. And as a pundit, if you can't eat crow, then you probably shouldn't be one. So I think that it's time now for Russell to get his flowers, even with 3 picks. Again, if you're just going to look at the stat line, then you're obviously a fucking fan. But if you actually watched the game and you saw what was going on, you know that, you know, some of these throws, he's forced to throw them because the game's over. So I'm really impressed with what's going on right now in Denver. I think that they're going to be a really hard out as the season continues. And look, that was a playoff game atmosphere the other day. If it would have been a home game for Denver, I think it probably would have swung in their direction in the same way it swung for Houston. So, you know, it is what it is. You take your lumps and you learn from them at this point, but sitting 6-6 with 5 to play and 5 of those, you know, 5 of those games being extreme, or 4 of the 5 being, in my opinion, very winnable, you know, 2 with the Chargers, the Pats, the Raiders. You know, that Raider game at the end of the year could be for the playoffs. And again, talking about streaks, we haven't beat them in 7 going on 8. So lots to look forward to here in the month of December for Denver. Whereas last year we were talking about draft picks. So at least they're in a position where we can talk about playoffs and the possibility of getting in them. That's much better than talking about how they're going to swindle up to get a top 3 pick this year.
Listen, when your optimism goes up, unfortunately, a fickle fan base or expectations will rise. And so I think you do have to ask those questions and not be okay with them being 6-6 when they could have been 7-5. So I understand the idea that they're going to learn from this. I understand hope is not lost. I understand playoffs are still in contention when they weren't to start the season. But I think that if you start looking at it, ideally, this team and the way that they're performing and the way they shot themselves in the foot isn't going to carry them much past a first round berth if they were actually able to make it. So I hear your points. I understand what you're saying there, but I do think that there still are frustrations with the way that worked itself out. The red zone wasn't really the issue, although there's some questionable decisions made. And at the end of the day, it's all hindsight. We don't know what the call was. We don't know why he decided to force that throw to end the game, because they shouldn't have been in that position in the first place. So again, no player, no play. I was going to ask you about Alex Singleton, but I will just give my little piece here. CJ Stroud baited him. Good play by him. Good veteran move. Although I think Singleton, okay, maybe he knew better, but I don't think that a penalty there should have been what it was. Go ahead and cancel those out with penalties on both teams, because CJ Stroud kind of pulled a shitty move there, but you know, he got the result that he wanted. But I did want to talk a little bit about the rest of the NFL, and I wanted to laugh about the Chargers and Patriots score 6-0. Chargers win that game. They had no right to it, but it basically puts the Patriots at the bottom of the barrel as NFL teams go. What's the outlook, I guess, going forward? Because you mentioned the Patriots have a good defense, but what exactly is the issue here?
I've never seen an offensive football team this inept. I mean, this is like historical shit. So their defense is outstanding. I mean, shocking, I know. Bill Belichick's defense in New England is outstanding, like Super Bowl caliber. Okay, but their offense is like the Little Giants, bro. Like, it is bad. Like, it looks like a fucking high school offense. Like, they'd be better off running triple option than trying to execute the offense they're trying to run. So I don't know the answer to this question. This is a tough one. Like, usually when you're this inept offensively, it's because of an injury or it's because of just a total lack of talent. But they got NFL football players on the field, and they're losing 6-0. Last week they lost I think they lost 10-6. Their point. I don't know if they've scored. I think they beat Miami earlier in the year and scored 24 points. That was one of the only times they've scored that many points in the season. So things are bad in New England. But again, when you've got as many pelts on the wall as Belichick, I guess you're allowed to have one terrible season. That said, it puts them in position to draft high. So they're probably going to have the second pick, I would guess, with the first pick going to Chicago because they've got Carolina's pick, and Carolina is poo-poo. I'm looking at this as, if I'm the Pats, I've got to find a quarterback. Mac Jones sure shit isn't that guy. I mean, Mac Jones, terrible. He absolutely cannot play the position, and he's reverted. And again, they put Bill O'Brien in charge. Bill O'Brien is a terrible coach, just not a good dude, total hater, real asshole, not the guy you want in charge of his development. But they'll probably just go hire Josh McDaniels again too. Probably another guy you don't want in charge of a young guy's development. Another real doozy of a human. Can he coach offensive football? Well, yeah. When Tom Brady's your quarterback, I think anybody could have coached offensive football there, including Matt Patricia, who was a defensive coach. So, look, the Patriot way worked really, really well when Tom Brady was there. The Patriot way doesn't work anywhere else. It never worked. I played for, Eric Mangini in New York. That shit didn't work. If you look at Charlie Weiss, that shit didn't work. Romeo Crennel didn't work. It's name after Josh McDaniels. Damn sure didn't work in Denver or in Vegas. So it's name after name after name after name. The special teams coordinator dude that they drafted or that they hired with the Giants, the Joe Judge, he was there for a year or two. That shit didn't work. So the Patriot way works when you have Tom Brady and Belichick together because, and look, I know this is going to be controversial when I say it, but when you have the best defensive player of all time at one stop and Lawrence Taylor, and then you have the best player maybe of all time, best quarterback for sure, at the next stop, well, you better fucking win. When you have LT and Tom Brady, you better win tons of rings. So, at least Belichick maximized his guys. But damn, I'll tell you, this is a bad look when you go from being that good to now the bottom of the barrel and your football team is an absolute train wreck, and it's not because of injury. So, look, I got no love lost for New England. I'm a Jet, Dolphin, and Bronco. New England can kick rocks as far as I'm concerned. This, karma's a bitch. But if you would have asked anybody in Foxborough, starting in 2001 when they beat the Rams, would you take, the end of the era? Would you watch Brady leave to go win another Super Bowl and then your team's going to be dog shit? Would you take that for 9 Super Bowl appearances and 6 rings? And every fucking guy in Boston would go, uh-huh. So, it's all relative, man. Unfortunately, it's going to end probably poorly. But then again, you give Belichick a quarterback that can actually fucking function and get a first down. And with that defense, New England's going to win some football games. So, the Bronco fans know all about this. They know all about great defense and inept quarterback play. So now New England's figuring out what it's like not to have a quarterback. So, the league yesterday was dog shit. I mean, the games were awful. The Jets and the Falcons was terrible. I mean, there were so many bad games yesterday. The National Field Goal League really, really, really did a great job yesterday, with the exception of the Philly game and the Niners. The Niners just beat the shit out of Philadelphia in Philadelphia, with the exception of maybe the Niners looking as good as they did. I thought the rest of the league was just, ugh. Like Pittsburgh got beat by Arizona at home. Kenny Pickett's out for an extended period of time. And it's a very lackluster Sunday in the National Football League, to say the least.
Good thing we're not going to talk about the NFL anymore. We're going to move to college football because I know everyone is buzzing after decisions came down. Obviously, the semifinal games are set for January 1st. You've got Michigan playing Alabama in the Rose Bowl, and then Washington will take on Texas in the Sugar Bowl. The winners will face off. We know the national championship is on the high rise, but the college football team or the college football playoffs is in a little bit of turmoil because if your college football team went undefeated, it's too damn bad. Florida State finished number 5 in the final rankings at obviously 13-0, just missing out on a playoff berth. And the Seminoles are the first undefeated team from a major Power 5 conference to be excluded from the playoffs since its inception in 2014. I want to talk about the idea that there's no doubt that FSU deserved to make it, but there's only 4 spots, and the expanded playoffs, the 12 team, is going to change this conversation in general. And I already kind of know where you're going to go with this, Matt, but I want to also put the caveat in here that when this playoff extension happens, and you no longer have to fight over the 6 or 8 top teams that are kind of going to get shafted at this point. What exactly is the national media, the local coverage going to talk about when there's not the exciting opportunity to talk about this idea of who wins out? What are the exceptions? What are the tiebreakers here? Because it's going to take something that's been advantageous to college football to make it chaotic and interesting and completely dissolve it down when there's an opportunity to include everybody.
Oh my God. So because it's going to be fair all of a sudden, like there's no turmoil or drama, so it's going to suck. I mean, look, this is my problem with college football. College football is not a fucking reality show. It's football. And like a panel or a BCS computer to decide who plays the games rather than fucking playing football and figuring out who's better. That's the goddamn problem. So I despise this system. I think Florida State got absolutely shafted. No one's sitting here saying that Alabama's not better. They probably are, but Florida State's defense is fucking real. And you can't tell me the defense doesn't win championships. They couldn't walk into the playoff and shut down 2 schools and win 16-6, just like they did in the ACC title game. So when it's taken out of your hands as a player, it's a disgusting feeling. The Florida State, like the Seminoles, Florida State just got left out of the playoff. That they can't amend it. So you have 6 teams this year. You're going to 12 next year. So this like assumption that somehow college football is going to be watered down. I keep hearing this narrative that the championships aren't going to matter. Like, no, that doesn't mean that's all bullshit. That's the media trying to just drum up more. If you have 12 teams in the playoff, you're not going to, the 13th team can kick fucking rocks. I mean, give me a break. But the 5th team, they have real beef. That's an undefeated conference champion in the ACC. That's real beef. The 6th team, they got real fucking beef too, because that's a 2-time defending national champion that lost once in 3 years that now doesn't get a chance to defend. So there's 6 teams right there that have real beef. And then number 7 just happens to be, oh yeah, Ohio State. Their only loss is at their rival by 3. So that's a pretty goddamn good football team that probably should play for the national title too, and could. So, I mean, as this goes on, I think that encompassing 12 teams obviously is a good thing. It's more football, it's more games, it's more opportunity to bet, more opportunity to make revenue. All that's great. But at least we'll be able to figure it out on the field. I was on a team in 2001 that got fucked out of an opportunity to play for a national title. It was disheartening as hell. No one gave a shit. And we went to the Fiesta Bowl. Everyone just partied, and the season was over. Who cares if you win or lose? No offense, but that's how everybody felt. When you beat your rival by 30 and then win your conference and you still don't get to go, and the team you beat by 30 gets to go, well, that's pretty disheartening. So, I mean, look, the Florida State-Georgia game, I know it's important to the fans, but if I'm a player, like, I'm looking at this as just, okay, this is an exhibition game where I hope I don't get hurt. And that's what it is. And so, like everybody's talking about conference title games getting watered down. Well, I don't see how that's possible. If your seeding is determined off whether or not you win, I don't see the conference title games in basketball before they go to the tournament watered down. I see those fucking guys playing their balls off so they can get the 1, 2, or 3 seed in the tourney. So if you If you still have the ability to lose and go to the tournament, yeah, that I guess that's beneficial. But if you have to play to get in, or let's say Oklahoma State beat Texas this week and it was next year, Oklahoma State would get into the playoff. And then Texas would be an at-large. And Oklahoma State would probably be seated lower, but they would have earned their right to go to the playoff where they had no chance to go beforehand because they're a conference champion. Winning your conference has to fucking mean something at some point. Actually being undefeated should mean something. When I was a senior in 04 at CU, the final four on the BCS computer were undefeated Oklahoma, or undefeated SC, undefeated Oklahoma, undefeated Auburn, and undefeated Utah. Undefeated Auburn got left out because the BCS computers valued Oklahoma and USC more. USC beat Oklahoma 55-15 or some shit in the final. We lost to Oklahoma in the Big 12 title game. So I'm just saying, games mean something. It's supposed to mean you're supposed to be able to play these. Now, look, if it's not interesting anymore to people because there's no more turmoil, those fans, whoever thinks that it's not going to be interesting enough anymore, go find a different fucking sport. This entire situation where we're worried about whether or not it's going to be interesting enough or whether or not people are going to watch because, the fifth team now doesn't have beef, and this is so controversial. This isn't a motherfucking reality show. And the fact that we actually allow these 13 chumps led by Condoleezza Rice or whoever the fuck is in that room sitting up there determining who goes to play rather than having a system where you actually go play the games and the best team fucking wins. That's what football is. And Division I is the only goddamn division in all of sports that plays football that can't figure this out. The NFL does playoffs, 1AA does playoffs, D2 does playoffs. The Division I is the only bunch of fucking morons who can't figure this shit out. And now it's costing them an opportunity to see multiple teams play for the title that can't. And then it's dirty and played out. And college football, in the business I'm in, the fact that you can tamper now, the transfer portal, this bullshit, the fucking media deals, the conference realignment, everyone chasing the fucking buck rather than developing the players. College football is as dirty as it's ever been. This is another example of how filthy it fucking is. The NCAA is a clown show organization that should be fucking ashamed of themselves. As a member of this fraternity and as a guy who deals with it on a daily basis, I got coaches calling me, asking me to tamper on other people's rosters. I got motherfuckers doing illegal shit left and right and acting like it's okay, where you couldn't buy a cheeseburger for a kid 5 years ago, but now you can just hand him $100,000 and tell him to come off of another roster onto yours, and that's acceptable somehow. It's teaching the young men in this country to say fuck loyalty, fuck development, fuck everything that college football used to be about. It's all about me. It's all about the buck. It's all about how do we get into the tournament rather than earning the motherfucking right to go. And it's fueled by the goddamn media and this fucking assumption that, it's not going to be interesting anymore. Well, then go fucking watch soccer or something where they just rotate teams in. Do something else, but stay away from this sport. Please go to 12 teams. The fact that they won't amend this also, you can change anything you want. You just change from 4 to 12. You can't change from 4 to 6 this year to make it right. If I'm Florida State, why the fuck would I even want to play in this bowl game? If I'm Georgia and I'm a player that's going to go to the NFL, if you're on Florida State or Georgia's roster and you have the chance to play in the league, do not play in this game. Don't fucking play. No way you should play. No one should play. It's an exhibition bullshit game for the fans. Fuck that game.
All right. C. Moses asks, would you rather see Michigan versus Washington for the Natty?
I don't look. I personally, the Final Four is what it is. Look, Alabama earned the right to go by beating Georgia. Washington, I thought that they were the best team in the country for a long time. They're right where they're supposed to be at number 2. I think Texas and Washington is going to be an unbelievably good football game. Texas is a really good football team. They've got the crown jewel win of the year at Tuscaloosa that got them into the playoff when it comes down to it. So, yes, that means playing the games means something. So that's good to see from the committee, I guess. Michigan is a tough ass, hard nosed football team, but they drew Alabama in the 4 seed. And I'm telling you, there's no one in Go Blue Country that's happy about this. Drawing Nick Saban in Alabama that's bad. I don't give a shit who you are. That is going to be an absolute fucking dogfight. So I don't know how I'm going to pick these games because I think Texas and Washington, I think Michael Penix Jr. number 1 is the Heisman winner, and he should be. And what Washington's done and how tough they are up front, well, so is Texas. Texas, I watched them go to Tuscaloosa and dominate. And yeah, in the Red River shootout, they got exposed a little bit, but those rivalry games are so hard to call. That game is going to be kind of a toss-up. Whatever the over-under is, take the over. There's going to be tons of points scored, but very opportunistic defense played. I think there'll be a lot of pressure on the quarterbacks and some turnovers, and it'll sway back and forth. That's the Sugar Bowl. I think that's going to be a great game. And then the Rose Bowl, you've got Michigan against Alabama. I mean, look, if I'm that offensive line from Michigan, this is what you want. This is the kind of test you want. If I'm Drake Nugent and those boys, and they're probably going to win the Joe Moore Award again, and they should 3 times in a row. I mean, that group up there in Ann Arbor is tough as nails, and they're chewing glass the other night as they were beating up Iowa and shut them out in the Big Ten title game. But Alabama's a different animal now. And you saw the way that Michigan kind of reacted. That I don't know why somebody decided to post that fucking video. Real good job. But like recording the team's reaction to drawing Alabama instead of drawing Florida State. If I'm Alabama and Tuscaloosa and I watch that video of everybody in the room, like half the room clapping and half the room going like, oh, fuck, man. Oh, fuck, man, we got to play Alabama. Yeah, that's usually what people say when they draw the Tide. So, look, the playoff is the right 4 teams. But is it? Because if we're talking about the best 4, is Washington better than Georgia? Because we're sitting here talking about the best 4, and Florida State just got fucked. But is Washington better than Georgia? I don't know the answer to that question. I bet you most people, if you took Georgia and Washington and put them in a neutral site, I bet you 90% of people will take UGA unless you're wearing purple dog colors instead of red dog colors. So there's another question. Is the committee playing a little bit of favorites here because Washington was ranked higher? Florida State was ranked 4th. They got moved out because their quarterback's out, and I understand he is, but goddamn, I watched Ohio State years ago with a 3rd-string quarterback and Cardale Jones win the Natty from the 4 spot. So, with a great running game, a good offensive line, a good defense with Ezekiel Elliott, so don't tell me it can't be done. I'm confused here because when the season's over, I bet you an undefeated Florida State, if they beat Georgia in the Peach Bowl, I bet you they're ranked in the top 4, but they don't get to play for the title. It's so fucking dirty to me. And it always comes back to this because who really is the national champion? If Florida State finishes undefeated, I mean, I hope an AP voter votes them 1 so they at least get a little bit of shine. So, look, when it comes down to it, I don't know who I'm going to pick in these games, but I'll tell you this. Alabama, Michigan is going to be a dogfight, and Michigan's gotten their ass beaten 2 straight playoff games, and Georgia really put it on the first time. TCU caught them last year. They have a lot to prove, and they have to prove it against Nick Saban. So, that's going to be a good one. And then, the Texas-Washington game is going to be an all-timer, in my opinion. That is going to be one fun-ass football game to watch with great players all over the field. So, look, I know I'm a little fired up about this, but that's why you come to this fucking show. Get your mind right.
Do you have time or do you need to go?
No, I got plenty of time. What's up?
There's questions. Bernard wanted to know current O-line players in the transfer portal, good or bad for rebuild and depth?
Up in Boulder?
Yep.
Well, Tank was just in the room. So 69's in here training right now to move on. Van Wells went to the transfer portal the other day. Jake Wiley, who was at CU from UCLA, just went in the grad transfer portal. Look, I don't know the answer to these questions, folks. I can't sit here and speculate on what they're doing and what they're not. Other than everybody I've sent them like Aiden Akike-Ina, the big nose tackle from Notre Dame. Well, he's going to trip to Berkeley, and Arizona offered them the other day, and Iowa State's getting involved, and USC. Colorado hasn't even reached out to him. So all I can do is ship over information. So I don't know the answer to these questions in the transfer portal, and it's not my job, and I'll keep you updated, but I can only help those who want help.
Looks like 35 minutes ago, Jaquan Shaq McCroy posted his recruiting trip with Coach Prime with a "Go Buffs?" ? Buffalo emoji, Buffalo emoji, Buffalo emoji. So that's exciting movement for y'all. As I was checking Twitter while I'm on the show, 5280 Ivan wanted to know thoughts on Nick Williams' departure from the Buff staff.
Yeah, it sucks. I don't know why he left, but everyone has their reasons. Nick is a great recruiter, great coach, did a really good job in his short stint here. You would think that he would be one of the guys that stuck around, but again, I don't know what's going up there from that standpoint. So it's news to me, just like it is everyone else, but all the best to Coach Williams. He did a great job.
Awesome. Just scanning real quick because the chat started going really quick. While you guys are here, if you could do me a favor, like the stream. Maybe you'll listen to Matt. Matt, tell the guys to like the stream.
Yeah, like the stream. If you're going to watch, you better like. There's 104 eyes. There should be 104 likes, so you can click off.
Yeah, threaten them more. Make it scary.
Well, I don't need to make it scary. They're already scared.
I was laughing at how scared I got by you saying that. How do you regulate the portal? Do you just get rid of it?
You don't. I've had multiple coaches in here all week. I met with Coach Sanford last week. Every single coach is like, look, nothing's going to get worse. The tampering's going to get worse. The lower levels, the group of 5 are now feeders to the upper levels, and I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but if you have a good player at a lower level, he is gone. He's going to go to an upper level school. I mean, look, Blake Haggerty from Northern Colorado is going in the portal today. He was a great freshman for them this year. He's got 50 catches and 600 yards and 4 touchdowns. He's getting picked up by somebody that kicking straight ball. Why? I mean, and judging by him, why would you stay at an 0-11 team when you have the ability to go at a higher level and go play for a better squad and get, that's just the way this works. So, it's the transfer portal. You can look at it one of two ways. It's either going to destroy college football or it's just going to maximize people's value even more. My problem with all of this is the inability to unionize, the inability to have an agent, the fact that business owners and fans have to be accountable for the NIL money when they're making money hand over foot. There's no revenue sharing with the TV deals. There's no medical insurance. They're not actually educating these kids on what it is to be a football businessman. They're just out there fucking throwing caution to the wind and this wild, wild west shit. And I'm sure that's going to go over well with young guys and money. I mean, young guys and money, they don't, and especially football player fucking meatheads, they don't ever make bad decisions. So, let's just not regulate any of it and act like it's going to go well. But then again, do you really want the NCAA regulating anything? I already went over how corrupt these motherfuckers are. I don't want them involved with anything. I would rather have the Wild West and no rules than any of their fucking rules. That's the biggest bunch of chumps that's ever walked.
My current comment disappeared. Powers agreed with you, said that there's a need for a commissioner. Since everyone's getting paid like the NFL, they need a players union. Guys, we're going to continue this and we'll answer questions more tomorrow. So I'm going to ask you to go over to Twitter. Follow us, 60 Academy, Bri Maestas 303. Tweet at either of us and use the hashtag AskMatt, or you can just randomly throw questions into the void and hope that I see them. But be back tomorrow, 10 a.m. We'll go over more questions and we'll continue our conversations here on 0 to 60, brought to you by Bet Online. Matt, any parting words for everyone?
Well, just have a great Monday and stay happy and safe out there. And Bri, thank you so much for all you do behind the scenes and regulating all this craziness over here in the comments and trying to reel me in. I really appreciate all you do. Make sure everybody goes to @60 Academy, likes everything, follows us on Twitter, on TikTok. The TikTok page now is at 197,000 people. with over 10.7 million likes. And I don't know how the hell that happened, but damn it, it sure did blow up quick. So make sure you go over there and check that out. And make sure you follow Bri Maestas at Bri Maestas 303 and everything she does behind the scenes and with Let's Talk Broncos and whatnot. And just make sure that tomorrow, look, we can do a question show all day. I don't really give a shit. It's not like I prepare for anything anyway. I just hit start and start talking. But at the same time, you know, if the questions are just going to be the same CU questions over and over again, guys, I don't know. I don't know the answer to a lot of these questions for the simple fact that it's, you know, the transfer portal is like the abyss from hell. Trying to answer questions, and this is ridiculously tough. So, you know, it is literally the Wild West. So just get your mind right when you frame the questions, is what I'm saying.
Coach Kev says, Matt, be nice to Bri, you lucky bastard. LOL. And on that note,
Coach Kev, don't assume you know how nice or not nice I am.
Blink twice if you're in trouble. He's tremendously nice to me, not to you fools. We'll see you tomorrow.
Peace.